Objective 1.15. Explain how substances are transported into and out of cells, including by diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. So in order for the cell to carry out the many chemical reactions it needs to, substances must enter and leave the cell. Now this happens in three ways: diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. Cells need things like oxygen, glucose, amino acids to go in. They need some water, and they'll also be releasing waste such as urea and carbon dioxide, and maybe also secreting things like hormones and enzymes out of the cell. So it needs these methods for things to move in and to move out. Now in diffusion, this is the most simple form of transport into a cell. This is when a substance moves from a high concentration to a low concentration. It's what we call a concentration gradient. There is more of a molecule in one area compared to another area. The molecules are moving randomly by kinetic energy. They're not deciding to move into the cell, but because there's more in one area than another, over time they will spread out and they will move from an area of high concentration to the area of low concentration. Osmosis is a special type of diffusion which just is for water, and this is where water moves from what we call a dilute solution to a more concentrated one across the partially permeable cell membrane. In osmosis, water moves from what we call a high water potential, a very dilute solution, one with lots of water and not very much stuff dissolved into it, to an area of low water potential. This is what we call a concentrated solution, something with lots of stuff dissolved in it, sugar or salt, and that makes it a lower water potential. And this water passes from the high water potential area to the low water potential area through the partially permeable membrane of a cell. Here's an example of a fake cell, some visking tubing which has little holes in it which allows water molecules to pass through but not the sugar. So in this case, which way do you think water will move? Where is the high water potential and where is the low water potential? Well, the high water potential is inside the visking tubing because that's got less sugar dissolved in it, so it's a higher water potential, and so water will move out into the solution, which is a lower water potential. It's got more stuff dissolved in it. So water moves from the high water potential to the low water potential. Now sometimes a cell needs to take in a substance against a concentration gradient. Now this requires energy released from respiration to move it against a concentration gradient. We call this active transport. There are special proteins in the cell membrane that can carry these molecules against a concentration gradient using energy. Active transport occurs in the roots of plants to move minerals into them against a concentration gradient, and it also occurs in the small intestine of animals to absorb nutrients.